Many Valorant rounds can be decided in the first 15 seconds. By setting yourself up properly, you can be on the winning side. For people who get overwhelmed by loads of Valorant concepts, I recommend focusing on one of the four in this video. This video is the culmination of my years of Valorant. If you want to climb better than I did, start with the first 15 seconds of your rounds. Every skill I go over will help you win more rounds, but more specifically, they will help you make better decisions in the first 15 seconds of every round. For your sake, I will go in order of topics that will have the biggest benefit to your overall gameplay. With that being said, let's start. The clip I just showed you is a masterpiece in what not to do at the start of a round. It may look like we are playing as a team, but this is what I would call pseudo or fake team play. As you can see, we are close together, but not close enough to trade, meaning Jet takes a solo fight, and then KO takes a solo fight, and then I take a solo fight, instantly losing the round in the first 15 seconds. These instant deaths are nothing new. I'm sure all of you have seen a teammate take an early solo fight, lose it, and completely cost your team the round. That's why I am here to help stop this from happening. First, I want you to stop blaming whoever it is that did it. It is actually slightly your fault as well. Let me explain. I didn't force Jet or KO to take their fight, but I should have been playing with one of them instead of sitting in the middle. Imagine how differently the round could have gone if I simply buddied up an art and looked to trade. These are the simple mistakes that I am trying to fix that you can implement as well. To get away from solo fights, let's go over some rules. Rule 1. Find a buddy. Being next to somebody when a round starts is the best way to limit the amount of solo fights that happen in a game. While Reyna and I may not have been on the same page for this round, I am still in a general position to look for a trade. Luckily, the enemy doesn't check my corner and I get a free double kill. Rule 2. Move to a new buddy. The whole goal of stopping solo fights is that you stick with somebody on your team at all moments. For this round, I regroup with my Sova backside. Rule 3. Repeat. My Jet and I repositioned together mid off a call I made, eventually winning the round. Playing as a team is something you must do if you want to climb. I understand low-ranked players will have a harder time trading you, peeking off you, or doing anything that requires them to play with a teammate. However, you simply must learn to play with them at some point. In cases where one teammate is completely ruining your game by over-peeking, there is a rule 4, play to teammates. If you tried to play where you want, and you linked up with a teammate, but somebody else is fighting in solo every round, this is similar to my breach on Fracture. While I linked up Arcade, my breach didn't link with anybody. If my breach continued to make this bad play every round, I would have no choice but to drop what I am doing and play with him, in hopes of getting a trade or making a play together. This step sucks if you are forced into it, but you can either accept certain loss or attempt to make a miracle. Recap. Solo fighting is bad. To limit the amount of solo fights you take in a round, start by buddying up before the barriers drop. Proceed to step 2. Depending on what happens throughout the next 15 seconds, look to find a new partner or stay with one you already have. Then, repeat step 2. Buddy up as often as you can to allow for trades and so forth. For people who are in lower elos and have trust issues, by always being around teammates, they will hopefully be required to help you out at some point. But for those teammates that struggle anyways, perhaps the second concept to work on during the first 15 seconds of every round will help. Communicating your plan at the start of rounds is crucial. While it won't always result in perfect play, starting some form of small talk before rounds start, or right when a round starts, is huge. As a controller main, here's my favorite way to comp before rounds start. Where do you want to smoke that on C? Mid side?
Yeah, mid-sight.
Prior to a round starting, letting people know that I can give them a smoke exactly where they want it will give them time to come up with a plan of how they want to defend. For duelists, you should look to pull players to you early for utility or numbers. As you likely would like to make aggressive plays from time to time, it will only be a better play with others involved. For initiators, you can look to control a part of the map for your team. By control, I mean let your team know whether there is somebody somewhere. As initiators have the main info gathering utility, let everybody know when and where you plan to use such utility. Finally, Sentinels. With a more spread out solo role, letting people know what areas of the map you control, the speed you want to play at, and how fast enemies are rotating are your biggest strengths. All this information has focused on small talk, as coming up with large plans isn't most people's forte, nor the best thing to be doing in ranked. Start communicating basic information to your teams, and your games will improve. Next, let's talk about some non-agent related comms anybody can apply to their game. Talking about how to defend your site. The amount of people that don't have a clue about how they're going to defend a site is insane. Don't let this be you. Not only does calming this let your teammate know what you plan to do, it also helps you form your own plan, hitting two birds with one stone. Examples: I'm going to shoot this dart if they use it, and then I'm going to flash above me and fight. Or I want to play off my trips. Once Jet dashes in, I'll pop my cages and we fight. Another great way to start implementing this skill is by calming what you hear. If you hear a stampede of feet running A on Haven, you better calm it. If you hear nothing walking B on Abyss, say you don't hear anything B, you hear anything A. Your team can't hear what you hear. Let them know. Lastly, let's go over some comms etiquette, things that get on my nerves. Firstly, never, and I mean never, say they are here. What the heck is here? Where is here? Tell me exactly where they are. I don't want to look at my minimap and then who is talking to get an idea about where the enemy is. Secondly, if you are talking to somebody, always say their agent or gamer tag when you ask them for something. Randoms don't know your voice. I can't tell you how many times somebody has asked me for something, but I had no idea. Just say people's agent or name so they know you are talking to them. Third, if somebody calms an enemy's position and then you die to them from a different angle, they moved. Yes, I know, the enemy has legs. It's crazy. Communication is something that can be terrible or great. Be one of the players that uses it correctly in the first 15 seconds of every round.
Nice.
Third, I'll go over how you can start getting more useful info at the start of rounds. Knowing where your enemies are needs to be through more than just footsteps, as footsteps can be misleading or meant to fool you, but seeing or not seeing them with your eyes is more surefire. Easy mode. Initiators are the only role in the game with surefire clearing utility. Fade Eye, Sova Dart, Skydog, Peho Drone, and more. These agents are the best and easiest way to secure info early in a round without putting players' lives on the line. And Fade or Sova are the best of the best, as theirs recharge after 40 seconds. If you need to control or check an area of the map right when the barriers go down, initiators are the safest to do so. Intermediate mode, controllers. While initiators secure info, controllers deny info for the enemy. Controllers can smoke off deep choke points or block lurk angles from the enemy's eyes. If you are struggling to get early control or info during a map, you need to have your controller use more aggressive smokes at barrier drop. For defense, smoke A main on split, one-way C on Lotus, or deep smoke showers on bind. For offense, look to early smoke A main on Haven, stairs on Lotus, or art on Pearl. These smokes can help you slow down an offensive push or deny angles from a defense. You won't guarantee that the enemy isn't somewhere, but it will slow them down or give your team an easier time to control the area. Controllers are best when they can smoke for sites, but if you are struggling to contest or hold zones, specifically from oppers, smokes can help that as well. Advanced mode. Sentinels excel at area control. Area control is protecting specific parts of every map while allowing for the least amount of players to actually be there. Unless you are Cypher with his camera, Sentinels don't have much, if any, ability to gain early info for their team. Instead, they improve the ability to overstack a different part of the map, allowing you to contest zones like A main on Fracture and A main on Lotus, while they sit solo and wait. Expert mode. Duelists suck at early info. With no utility to control parts of the map, duelists require their body to get early info and contest zones. A duelist by themselves on Fracture has little chance to control A main, but if you add in a controller to smoke it, and then Teho to bomb it, the duelist can now use their body to hold the zone much easier. If you are a duelist, you must be ready to call for your team's utility. Otherwise, your role will suffer.
Hey, Breach, you want to play arcade?
Recap. Initiators are the best and easiest way to learn about the map when barriers drop. First, try to use rechargeable utility, but if you are forced to use non-rechargeable, use it. Controllers' smokes should only be used early if you plan to protect them with utility or players. A slowing smoke is only good if you don't allow the enemy to walk straight through them. Sentinels are meant to be weak side. Use this advantage when possible and group up to make a play on the other side of the map. Finally, duelists. Aim is required to play this role to some extent, but you can get away with suboptimal aim by asking your teammates for supporting utility. A duelist can be strong solo or unstoppable with a team. Switching over to the last concept, enemy agents. At the start of every game, you should look up at the scoreboard and summarize a few points. Point 1. What is the pace of the game going to look like from the enemy? If agents like Neon, Raze, or ISO are on the enemy team, there's a good chance they want to play fast. Neon is Neon, but for the other two, Raze can break any cipher trips or sentinel utility that is blocking her, allowing her to attack more aggressively than other duelists. And then you have ISO. With his shield needing kills to be sustained, once he pops it, he likes to walk forward. And from my games against such an agent, they like to pop it early on offense. Any other duelist, and you can expect a slower to normal paced early round. Moving to point 2. Where do agents want to go? Or where should they go? For this point, I want to do it all from Haven's Sewer. This fork in the road tells us a lot about agents. If I asked you about different agents, could you tell me which direction they prefer to go? Phoenix, Jet, Reyna, Tejo, Sova, Clove, Omen, Deadlock. If you have reasons why you believe each agent will go in a certain direction, that is perfect. I have my own, and they may be different from yours, as long as you have reasons. The point is that certain agents like positioning or playing in certain places. Jet prefers lanes where she has space to operate, compared to Phoenix, who wants close corners to flash. Learn or come up with an understanding to why certain agents are always found in the same place, map after map, like Fade always being an art every game of Pearl. Point 3. Understanding the different sentinels. When you look up at the scoreboard, does the enemy have a sight-hitting sentinel, or is the sentinel a lurking one? Sentinels are one of the biggest annoyances you can face. Thus, understanding how they want to play can go a long way. Regarding lurking, Cypher and KJ are better suited for lurking than other sentinels, whereas Deadlock and Vise are great agents for taking a site. Understanding what enemy sentinels want to do on offense and defense should change the way you play your game. Point 4. Be ready for enemy utility, or plays. Lastly, if you don't know what agents you are playing against, you will simply be at a disadvantage to plays they will make. Simple things like getting hit by a Euro flash without expecting it, or positioning in a place where Neon will eat you alive. If you feel like you are getting caught out by enemies' utility a lot, this is your base problem. Regardless of whether or not you can remember the previous 4 points, at least get in the habit of looking at enemy agents and your team's agents. Think of different plays you and the enemy will be trying to make.
In a game where rounds can last over 2 minutes, the first 15 seconds may not seem like a big deal. However, placing yourself in better positions through teamwork, communication, info gathering, and agent understanding early in rounds can have huge benefits later in rounds. Please focus on a single one of the concepts that I went over in this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you got value out of this video. Let me know what skill you will be focusing on in your games. See you in the next one.